Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. Things are not going well for the government of Iran or for its people. Iran's proxy armies are in shambles. In Gaza, Hamas is a mere shadow of its earlier self. Its men are hiding wherever they can find the biggest crowd of civilians to use as human shields. Yes, I mean that literally. And in Lebanon, Hezbollah has been stung by exploding pagers, has lost 80% of its rocket arsenal, has lost key segments of its military tunnel system in Lebanon, and has lost the villages on the Lebanese-Israeli border that hid underground concrete bunkers stocked with weapons to pull off more October 7th style attacks on the civilians of Israel. What's more, the fall of Syria has threatened to tear apart Iran's circle of proxies closing in around Israel, Iran's ring of fire, its so-called axis of resistance. Meanwhile, back in the Iranian homeland, inflation is driving the standard of living down, paychecks are being delayed, power outages are sweeping the country. The military has lost its air defense system. There are protests in the streets, and the regime is increasingly using the death penalty. So it may seem like a strange time to lift the ban on two apps from the Great Satan, from the Iranian regime's sworn enemy, the United States. Yes, apps from the very United States that Iran sees as a source of all the world's evils. Apps from the United States that Iran intends to topple one of these days. But Iran's Supreme Council of Cyberspace, headed by Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian, has unanimously agreed to lift the bans on WhatsApp and Google Play. And the Council has made it clear that this is just a first step. More internet freedoms are to come. Why? Why this move toward more liberties? When crowds have taken to the streets, security forces have been deployed, and you'd think the government would be clamping down. I suspect that the answer lies in Syria. Iran propped up Bashar al-Assad, Syria's dictator, for 13 years. Iran supplied advice and weapons. Iran's puppet army in Lebanon, Hezbollah, provided troops to fight on Assad's behalf in the civil war that began in 2011, the year of the Arab Spring. And Syria was one of Iran's faithful allies. Then, just 2 weeks ago, on December 8th, Syria's Assad regime fell. Suddenly, unexpectedly. On that Sunday morning, Bashar Assad fled Damascus and sought refuge in Moscow, and his wife immediately divorced him. A new power, the Islamic fundamentalist army called Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, took Syria over. For Iran, this was a blow. Iran's religious rulers had to figure out how to prevent anything like Assad's sudden downfall from happening in Iran. And Iran's ruling elite came to a strange conclusion. Syria fell, some said, because Bashar al-Assad was not listening to his people. Assad was not giving his people what they wanted. Instead, he was imposing his will. As Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf, Speaker of the Iranian parliament, put it, Assad was dodging, quote, the path of dialogue with the people, close quote. After all, the founding father of the Iranian Revolution, Ayatollah Khomeini, had said in 1979 that only Islamic democracy is correct. And democracy means hearing the voice of the people, right? So while the current Iranian supreme leader's people were being forced to buy cheaper foods by inflation, while the paychecks of his workers were being delayed, while his nation's power grids were going down in 17 provinces, while his proxy armies were being stripped of their weapons and their leaders, The current leader of Iran, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Husseini Khamenei, allowed Google Play and WhatsApp to reappear on the monitors of desktops and laptop users. Alas, these apps have not yet been approved for phones. Why did the Ayatollah, the man who has the last word in Iran, approve of allowing Google Play and WhatsApp back into the country? I suspect it was to listen to his people and to give them what they want for a simple purpose: to avoid the fate of Bashar al-Assad. This is Howard Bloom speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Or, want to know why? Ask how. And now for the sleazy, slimy off button.